Just make sure your volumes are down, guys, if you're going to go
Well,
live on it.
y'all can mute whenever we get started. Whenever I start the broadcast, yeah. Mute yourselves. Hello, Facebook audience. I'm excited to be on here at the outset of a dope topic I've been waiting to do. So I hope you guys enjoy it as much as we do. And then I'm going to start the podcast broadcast here real quick. Let's see, where is it? Okay. Live, Inspired to Greatness. This is episode number 20.
Matt, are you live yet?
Yeah, I'm live on Facebook. We're not live on the podcast yet. We're fixing to be there.
I'm just saying that because I can't see a place to share.
Oh, yeah. No, the Facebook's live. You should be able to find that. So, okay, I'm going to hit go, and then we'll be live, so nobody be too loud. Or just mute yourself until I intro everybody. What am I looking for? Okay.
This episode is powered by Poddex.
Inspired, of extraordinary quality, as if arising from some external creative impulse. Greatness, the state, condition, or quality of being great. This is Inspired to Greatness.
All right, everybody, welcome to Inspired to Greatness, the show all about spreading inspiration, motivation, and being great. I am your host, DJ Matt Blake, here with you for a great show this week. I hope you're all having an amazing day, my friends. Today, we're talking about emotional intelligence. In fact, we are starting a series, a 7-show series on emotional intelligence. Today, we're going to hit the high points, the 30,000-foot view, if you will, and then we will get into the 5 pillars of emotional intelligence as we move forward over the next 5 weeks. So I want to give a big welcome to my co-hosts, Bobby Malashio. How are you, sir? How are you doing this week?
Amazing, my man. How are you doing today?
I'm great. I'm loving life, except that I missed my hair appointment this morning, so I'm going to make that up after the podcast. And also, welcome back to the show, the one and only Dr. Casey Sanders. How are you, man?
Oh, I'm excited to be back doing this. This is one of my favorite times. It's
Yes.
one of my favorite things to do, man.
Yes. I'm excited. You guys will all remember longtime fans of the show. Longtime fans of the show. It's episode 20. Although it has been a year because we took a while off. Casey started the show with me. He has some great wisdom. Just a really cool dude to bring it all out for you guys. So I hope you guys will welcome him back. And also want to welcome our 2 guests today. We have Terry Hammond from HPN Global. Terry, how are you?
Great.
Awesome. And then we have Brenda Ryan from the Referral Resource Guide. How are you, Brenda?
Good, thanks, Matt.
Awesome. So we're going to talk about emotional intelligence today. Emotional intelligence is the capacity to be aware of, control, and express one's emotions, and to handle interpersonal relationships judiciously and with empathy. Empathy is a huge part of emotional intelligence. So according to Daniel Goleman, he's an American psychologist who helped popularize this emotional intelligence concept. There are 5 main pillars or keys to emotional intelligence. They are self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, and social skills. And so those are the things we're going to discuss in broad reach today, mostly just emotional intelligence overall. But then the next 5 shows are going to be about self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, which I cannot wait for because there's not enough of it in the world, and social skills. And we're not talking about Twitter and Instagram. We're talking about how you relate with other people. Social, before the internet. So it's an amazing time in the world because if you think about the internet as a tool and an invention, right? How much did the world change when we invented electricity? How much did the world change when we brought about telecommunications? Well, the internet is the same thing. The world is vastly changing how everything works. And I am just thrilled to be alive in this time because we're so lucky with it. So, and personally, I think emotional intelligence is the single most important key to long-term success, both in your life and professionally. So that's why I'm excited about it. So let's go over some topics here. Anybody has a comment, feel free to just jump in and express that comment as we go. Alan Cohen said, use pain as a stepping stone, not a campground, which is a great thing about getting up and moving on, right? A lot of people like to dwell on failures or snafus, if you will, things that hold them back, and that starts to define you, right? That's where you live. That is what you're absorbed with. But when you can take that and move forward and move on, then it's a huge key. And use it as a learning experience, really. Maybe use pain as a classroom. So
I think that's good, Matt, because even it makes me think about, I'll show them type mentality. I'll show all the doubters wrong. I'll prove them all wrong, and that's a self-driven awareness that we've created with ourselves, that it's a personal reflection about how we feel, right? And it's usually geared around resentment, anger. And as he just said, you can't use it to kind of push you forward, but don't stay there forever, right? Because with that anger and frustration, it only manifests and builds more, right?
For sure. Yeah, and the stuff you focus on is the stuff you get in your life, right? We've discussed that before. What you hang on to, what you focus on is what manifests in your life. Benjamin Franklin, one of my most favorite folks, he's a wise person for an older guy. He said, and this is huge, this is a good one to teach your kids, because it sounds like Yoda said it, whatever is begun in anger ends in shame. If you make decisions based on anger, you can make emotional decisions. I'm not saying it's wrong to make a decision emotionally. A lot of times that can be a good thing. Like you do something because you were moved to help somebody. Brenda's going to talk a little bit later about service and serving others. And certainly emotion plays into wanting to serve others. But if you make emotional decisions out of anger, a lot of times you're going to be ashamed of what you've done. Like, ramming some guy off the road because they cut you off. You did that because you were angry, not because you were thinking logically, and you might feel some shame if you're any kind of human. So, and finally, before we get into our guests, Marshall Rosenberg said, we are dangerous when we are not conscious of our responsibility for how we behave, think, and feel. And this is something I talk a lot about in the aspect of taking responsibility for your actions and owning what you've done, because that lets you own your success and failures. If you own your failures and you're like, I failed and it's my fault, completely my fault, not my parents, not my boss, not my teacher, whatever, not my employees, whatever it is, if you fail because of you, then you succeed because of you as well, and you can own that. And that can be the success of your business or the well-being of your children or their accomplishments can be a source of pride for you because it's up to you. But you have to take responsibility for how you behave, and that has a lot to do with how you think and feel. If you think horrible things about somebody, that's you. That's on you. That's not because of what they've done. You have to have the emotional intelligence to feel empathy for other people. You don't know their story. That person who cut you off in traffic because they're in a hurry, they might not just be a jerk. They might not just hate you, right? It could be that their wife is in the hospital. Their parent is close to death, and they're trying to get there and see them. If you knew their story, you might be cutting other people off the road so they can get down the road. You don't know what their story is, and so it's wrong to do that. But most importantly, how you think is your responsibility, and it can be dangerous. We saw, there's a certain history in our country where people thought a certain way about different people, whether it was minorities or gays. People thought horrible things about them, and it was your responsibility for how you were thinking, and it led to some bad actions, right? People did horrible things because of how they were thinking, so you got to own that. You're responsible. You got to own it all. So let's jump into our guests, and we're going to start with Miss Terry Hammond from HPN Global. Terry is an awesome lady, you guys. She's in the travel hospitality industry, and I first met her when she was running events over at Iron Horse Golf Course here in North Richland Hills, which I am happy to announce I am moving back to North Richland Hills next month, buying a house.
Awesome.
But that's some stuff for a personal podcast. But Terry is amazing. She is great at helping people. So Terry, tell us about HBN Global, what you do, and your little story there. So go ahead.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate that. Basically, I've been in hospitality since I was 16. So that second job of life and never got out of it. I've worked for hotels, I've worked for country clubs, I've worked in restaurants, and it led me to work for this company called HPN Global. I'm a third-party meeting planner. I plan meetings and conferences for companies all over the world. I got out into it after our last wonderful crisis in 8, 9, and 10 when I left the hotel industry, because I had a territory of Chicago and DC, and trying to get people to come to Dallas, really, they didn't have to. They could stay in their own cities and do their own meetings because those are big cities. So company called me, HPN Global, and said, come work for us. They only take people and really hire people that have 10 to 15 to 20 years of experience, because they want people who know what they're doing, understand the business, and be able to help people. And so one of our hashtags is hashtag HPN Global, relationships matter. And it's all about the relationships in the hotel industry or hospitality or anything we do basically in life. It's about your relationships. So they matter. And they actually came up with a concept to have one hotel person in that hotel be what we call a special point of contact. So it didn't matter what type of group it was, whether it was social or religious or corporate or association. There was just one person in each hotel that we contact, and we built that relationship over years. And so why HPN is different than Helms Briscoe or Conference Direct, which is our competitors, is that we have one person that we contact when we want to do something in that hotel. We've built that relationship with those people, and they come to love and trust us, and vice versa. And we're looking for the best deal for our client. Now, a lot of hotels, obviously right now, are really hurting, getting about 100 emails a day. Bring us your business, bring us your business. And as soon as people start to feel comfortable traveling, we'll do that again. But right now, we're just keeping our relationships good. We're talking to each other. We're finding out the best deals. And, I'm all about that servant heart of helping people. And if I can help a business save money and time, because they have to do this meeting quarterly, yearly, biannually, whatever they do it, if I can help them save a couple $1,000 every time they meet, well, within a couple of years, I've saved a couple of associations $10,000 plus, where they would have spent it if they didn't have somebody who knew what they were doing to negotiate with a great hotel.
Yeah.
So that's what I do. And I've been, like I said, in the hotel and hospitality industry. I've worked for other hospitality partners, and I just like helping people make their events and create something that's magical and memorable.
That's awesome. And all your clients benefit from your services without having to pay for them, right? Because you get yours on the back end, as they say.
That's correct. My services are complimentary, completely free. I do all the research. I look for the best deal. I give them their options. And then the hotel pays our company a commission, and I get paid kind of like the real estate industry on the back end.
Yeah.
So all of my hard work for my clients is free, and they see that as a value because they don't have to have their secretary or someone in their business do all that work and all that time that it takes. And it could take a couple of weeks to come up with the right fit for the right hotel for the right meeting.
Sure.
On what they need.
Yeah, and that's a great example of sticking to what you're good at, right? Like the Plumbers Association is really good at going out and doing plumbing, but not so good at maybe setting up meetings. So I'm a big advocate of do what you're good at, outsource the rest of it. So when your company needs to go to a conference or you hold an event, you contact Terry at HPN, and she gets all the rooms taken care of, negotiates the conference room and the AV stuff and all that kind of stuff. and you're left to just take care of your business. And I think that's spectacular, especially when it doesn't add cost to your event budget. Because events, they typically have pretty strict budgets, don't they, Terry?
They do. They have a lot of strict budgets. And if I can help them save some money negotiating the parking, because not everybody does air travel. A lot of people will drive to the conference if they're not that far from it. And, there's times that you can negotiate parking, food and beverage, AV, room rental. There's just lots of things that people don't realize. It's just not about the room rate.
Yeah. And
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
yeah.
Another thing is that you become they don't have to talk to the catering person over at the venue, and they don't have to talk to the room person and the AV person. You talk to them all, get it all bundled up in a nice little package, and then hand it over to your client. And you don't just work in the United States, right? You did some stuff in Spain before, which was cool,
Yep.
and all over. So it's not just limited to here.
That's true. It's all over the world. I actually have a large conference for 600 in October in Barcelona, Spain.
That's awesome.
At the Westin.
Wow.
And, they wanted to go outside the country. And there was a few nights, 3 a.m. in the morning, you're talking to Barcelona. It's a little different.
Yeah.
That's exciting. That's exciting.
Yeah, not too many people would do that for their job, but
Yeah.
it is exciting.
Yeah. Terry, you just expanded my awareness.
There you go.
I'm
Look at that.
glad.
Yeah, you
We're learning
really
things
did.
already.
We only know what we know, right? Until we know.
As long as we
Well,
taught,
that's true.
as long as we taught Bobby something, it's been a successful podcast.
Done. We're done.
So, and you touched on it a little bit already, talking about relationships. But how do you utilize levels of emotional intelligence in your business?
Well, it's all about connecting with people, and you find a common ground.
Mhm.
First time you call somebody, you're not usually asking them for their business. You're asking them for their time. You want to get to know them. You want to find out about their business. But it usually, in my line of work, it takes about 7 times to touch someone before you can earn their trust to get their business. So that's phone calls, that's emails, that's personal notes. It might be a coffee or a lunch. HPN has an annual conference every year, and we invite all the hoteliers to come. And we spend 4 days and do nothing but enjoy each other's company, sometimes too much. Spend a lot of good time together and have lunch, have coffee. There's definitely some meetings. We learn about each other. We find out more about what's going on in their business, whether they're going through a renovation or they've got some need dates. Like I said, I get about 100 emails a day from hoteliers, and they're letting us know what's going on in their business so that we can forward that to our clients.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, Terry Hammond of HPN Global, where should people connect with you online? Is there a specific link or a page you want people to find you at?
Actually, I have a Facebook page
Okay.
called Partners Meetings and Events Matter. That's my business Facebook page.
Okay.
I'm also on Facebook. The company has a website. I don't personally have one, but there's lots of things on HPN. You can find me there too.
Okay.
But I'll also put my information in the chat, but definitely Terry Hammond. You can find me on Facebook, messenger me. I'm involved in lots of chambers, and I'm out in the community a lot trying to let people know what I do, because I love what I do. And if I can help anybody, it just makes me feel better about knowing I can help somebody save some money and some time.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Terry Hammond, ladies and gentlemen. So now we're going to go to one of my most favorite people in the whole wide world. Not that everyone else on the show today is not a favorite of mine. This show this week is chock full of my favorites, you guys. But Brenda Ryan, I have known for a long time. Over a decade, we've known each other. We met networking at the country club over there in Haltom City. And we networked together for years. I've been through several versions of business. Brenda has been doing the same thing and killing it ever since I met her. And she is one of the most valuable people to have in your network and in your corner. She's with the Referral Resource Guide. She's the founder and publisher of that. And I'm going to let her tell you all about what that is and what she does. Ladies and gentlemen, my friend, Brenda Ryan.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you for being my friend too. All of you all.
I can't.
But
I wish I had the Golden Girls theme song queued up. So thank you for being a friend. I'm not ashamed to admit that I love that show. So
it's on a lot too. Oh, well, thank you so much. Yeah, so just to briefly tell you all what I do and have been doing for over 16 years. This is called the Referral Resource Guide. That's what it looks like. It's a brand new look this time. I'm really excited about it. It's not so much about the look of it or anything about it. What it is it's about taking care of you. I have screened and qualified everyone in it to be a business with integrity. If you don't have this in your hands, you got this in your hands. And so the referralresourceguide.com or the print version, this comes to your mailbox. If you give me your address, I'm happy to send it out. It goes to over 4,000 people. There's 12,000 copies that get published every 6 months. So they're out and about 1,000 locations and just everywhere I go to network and make sure that I put this in people's hands because the value of it is knowing that all of these people are here to take care of you. And when Matt says that my purpose or what I have to talk about is service and serving, it actually says so someplace on here. We kind of moved it around a little bit, but it's serving the greater Fort Worth area because I feel like that there's no greater purpose for me. And to tell you a little bit about me, I was born and raised in Fort Worth, raised my children here, go to the same church, have had these relationships forever. And I'm so grateful Matt's in that group of people that mean so much to me. And because we are who we are, whether we're in business or we're at home or with our families or whatever, we should be that consistent person that does what they do, whether they're on a podcast, whether they're or out with friends, just to maintain and know who you are, being, as you were talking about earlier, being self-aware. Um, and it wasn't until I saw a question posed to me that really struck where I believed I was coming from. I mean, because we all have a business, we do something. Um, and that word serving really hit my heart and made me realize the beauty of why I do what I do. Now, my degree is guidance and counseling and education. And I did all that. I served the community with handicapped people, with welfare women, with runaway, throwaway teenagers, elderly people, as well as children too young to understand how they feel. They couldn't express it with words, but they could with their actions. So I did all that. But this idea came by the way of my son. He wound up saying, "Mom, you ought to publish some advertising," because I knew so many people. And so, and it was the designer that had to tell me, "Brenda, now you need a website." After the first one, I was going, "What for?" I'm like totally in my mind out of my field, except for the idea of serving. And so I was glad that that became aware to me so that I could be more intentional about how I go about talking about what I do. Because as Terry was talking about, it's all about relationships. And you may not know who to call that you might need some help with. And I'll just use the service industry because it's easy for me to think out loud. And that is an electrician or a plumber or an AC person, or I mean, all those people are needed in our homes. But do you know who's coming to your house? If you go to the referral resource guide, whether it's online or in the guide, or if you contact me or if you text me, I'll give you somebody I know because I don't do anything unless I'm handing you over somebody that you can depend on and trust. And we put it on the guide as businesses with integrity. So that's how deep it matters to me that I serve my community with the tools I have, which I didn't even have when I first started. It was just an idea, and God let it just sort of settle in my heart. And in the first 5 minutes, I knew three things. One was the name of my company, which is on the back, Connections Publishing Company. That's where it all started. And then I knew that, and this is real small print too, but a portion of the proceeds go to World Hunger. It's right down there. And then it was only going to be by referral. And all of a sudden I thought, well, okay, that's what's next. And that's where I went, and that's what I did. And it's been such a blessing to know that feels like such a deep purpose within me to bring the community. I don't care how large it is. I mean, I know people in my guide that can do things virtually from any place, anywhere in the world. And I find myself in relationship with people out of Australia, or even north northeastern coast in Washington or wherever, and I'll mail it out. Want to know that they can depend and trust on people, to depend and trust people. I'll go ahead and mention, if you want me to, Matt, now
Yeah.
about the mixer with a mission.
Yeah, please do. I was gonna ask you about that.
I guess I'll show you this first. This is okay. So this is what we've been doing for 3 years. We've been feeding people for the last 3 years, a little over now, and it's called A Mixer with a Mission, benefiting the Tarrant Area Food Bank in our area, which serves over 13 counties. And of course, right now during this pandemic, they've been feeding a whole lot. And I know that soon, well, here are all the dates. Before I leave this behind, here are all the dates of the year. And hopefully we'll be able to get together in person again. But if not, this is the intention. This is what we will be doing if we can get together and do that. And you can see where Matt Blake is our DJ and has an awesome time doing that. And we all love how he takes care of us. But the thing that we're doing right now, which was Matt's incredible, his knowledge of all this, it was so cool. Here we go. We've got the virtual mixer with a mission.
Yeah.
And so there is going to be plenty of information. I'm sure Matt's got that someplace, but there's what we put together.
If you, so everybody knows, if you go to there's a Facebook event for virtual mixer with a mission. I'll put a link in the show notes to this podcast today. But basically, Mixer with a Mission is so spectacular, and the reason I'd love to be involved is because it's networking and it's a mixer, and that's what we're all familiar with. But this has a mission, because it's a mixer with a mission. It has a reason behind it. So we're raising money for the Tarrant Area Food Bank, and if you watch the news at all right now, which I don't recommend, but if you watch the news at all right now, you hear about the food shortages, and they're giving out in Fort Worth, they're giving out 6,000 boxes of food and running out of food. There's people still in line, and it's just a horrible situation. There's a lot of reasons. We don't need to talk about all the reasons this is happening, but there's a need, and so you fill a need, right? And so the virtual Mixer with a Mission is because we missed last time because of COVID, and I didn't want us to miss again because it's too important. It's too important to help people and you're helping people survive, really. In my opinion, and I'm just one person who does their own research and doesn't just listen to the media, but in my opinion, more people are going to be damaged financially and malnutrition, and they're not going to be able to know where their next meal is coming from more than is going to suffer with the actual virus that we're shutting down for. And so we want to do what we can to take care of people. And so I'm going to be playing some music, and we're going to be doing shout-outs to people who donate. We're going to be putting logos up on the screen for people who donate big and all kinds of stuff. So, I mean, I had a tiny goal of $500. The event hasn't even happened yet, and we've already raised $250. Thank you to all the people who've donated. I anticipate we're going to get in 4 digits, and basically we're just going to have a good time. People are going to get together and talk. You can just play the music and have a dance party at your house. And instead of me trying to get tips or whatever, which I do when I do virtual DJ dance parties, is I want people to go online and donate to the Tarrant Area Food Bank. We've got a GoFundMe set up. Like I said, I'll put the links in the show notes to this. But it's spectacular. And it goes right along with the normal Mixer with a Mission that Brenda puts on. And the next one, so this one is May 19th. It's a Tuesday from 5 to 7 p.m. You can donate anytime you want. You don't even have to show up. The next one is going to be July 28th, and we do them all at
That's right.
the food hall on Crockett down there off 7th Street, and they're really fun. We have a good time. You know, I'm DJing. Brenda's giving away prizes. There's door prizes. There's people. There's a bar, you know, if that's your thing, which is totally my thing. And it's just really, really good stuff. People supporting each other and supporting the Tarrant Area Food Bank. $1 makes 5 meals. Isn't that right? $1 makes 5 meals. So even if you're like, oh, well, I can't do much, bring me $10. Bring me $10 and you made 50 meals, okay? And I'm going to give that money to the Tarrant Area Food Bank, and we're going to do a lot for the people. And that's what Brenda's about, is serving, and she connects people. And I wanted to say this about the referral resource guide and kind of tell on myself. I use the referral resource guide. I go through there and I look for the businesses, and a lot of them I'm already networking with. But what I do, this is horrible. Maybe this is horrible. I don't know. If there's someone on there I don't know, I go find them and figure out where I can network with them, because I know they're good people in Brenda's network who she's plugged into. And so I want to know those people. There's people I found in her guide and figured out where they go network and met them. I don't even use their services, but I networked with them. I connected with them. I send business to them and stuff. And so if you don't need a bunch of stuff, just connect with people. You never know when you're going to need it, right? Like, I never thought I was going to like network with car dealers, and I'm like, I'm never going to buy a car. Like, I just go buy cash cars because I'm cheap. Well, it turns out the car dealership that networks with me, I bought 2 cars from in the last 6 months. So you are eventually going to need something. I can't believe how many people actually need a DJ in our network. It's mind-boggling to me. I love it, but, you know, so Brenda her amazing talent is building and strengthening a network of people. She connects people together. And if you need anything, you're like, crap, man, I need a plumber, or I need someone to fix my electric wires in my house, or I need this or that. If you call Brenda, she knows somebody. And the great thing about it is she's probably known them for a long time. She knows you can trust them, and she can tell you other people who've, like, hey, call this person. They use them if you want to hear about them. So, Brenda, I want to congratulate you and give you a slow clap for the referral resource guide, because I've used it not only as a way to find people when someone needs, but also to grow my network. And maybe that's not what it's designed for, but it's just another part of what you do, connecting people and all kinds of. So tell me also, what is unique about you besides, like, people, and we kind of touched on it obviously, but people could just go Google a plumber, or they could, maybe there's still the phone book. People could go look up a roofer in the phone book. What's different? Why should they get on the referral resource guide? Talk about that difference a little bit.
Well, simply put, it's unique in that you're not going to find public reviews. I don't. I've heard too many horror stories about public reviews and tearing companies down or building up the wrong ones. Um, but as long as I've been here in area like all of my life, and people trust what I say, I wouldn't want anybody else to touch that. I want it to begin and end with me. I want it to be um, something that will maintain its integrity, something that will retain its uh, uh, wow, I'm lost. I'm at a loss of words. Yeah, the reputation, and so that I can maintain that on my own, and through my friends, that also that haven't known me as long as a lot of people have, but that can also find that trust in me, so therefore they can trust the things that I say and the people that I recommend. Somebody asked me at a chamber, uh, who do I know a face painter? And I thought, I don't have a face painter, but I'll find a face painter. So I went, and not only did I get recommendations for a face painter, I interviewed this person and asked for some recommendations from people that they had worked for. Sure enough, I handed them over to whatever chamber that was, because I have, in and over time, been a member of several different chambers. And sure enough, oh, I don't know, months later, when I looped back around to that particular area, somebody said, "Hey, Brenda, thank you so much." And I turned around and I thought, well, sure, what? What did I do?
Yeah.
And it turned out to be the person that I had given over that face painting to. So I think just the idea of knowing that there is a person behind all this, there's no way that I could I could not make sure that these are reputable people. I've torn up plenty of contracts in the beginning when I was trying to figure it all out. And I'd sign somebody up, and before anything went to print or went on the website, I tore up that contract, let the money go, because that's not what it's about. It's about caring for the community. And that's the sole purpose and the sole vision of what I have, is to be trusted to be able to pass on this so that people can find what they need. And Matt, you talking to people, developing relationships with people, I encourage that all the time. Call them. I mean, yes, you may need somebody to repair your transmission or paint your car or whatever it is, or somebody to do insurance with, or a lawyer or whatever it is. And you can find them. But besides all that, you can you can develop a relationship, and then it's like the girl from Australia. I gave her to my lawyer so that she could help with some business problems she was having. And so, I mean, it doesn't matter where you connect as long as you connect and do your best to serve the the person that you're talking to. And that's I mean, it's phenomenal how small the world really can be, and how much of an impact one person, each of you all, even this listening, can make. And just by being willing, being available, being purposeful, and again, finding out what your biggest mission in life is. It turns out mine serving. I've done mission work for 25 years on the Navajo reservation, and not even thinking about this one word coming into play. I just got drawn to these different abilities. Mixer with a Mission came up when I was invited to bring some business people together. Turns out 200 of them came, and I thought, well, I mean, if we're going to come together to meet each other, that many people, we ought to give back to the community while we're doing that. So Mixer with a Mission came out of my mouth. It wasn't anything preconceived. It was just it was part of the circumstances, part of the growth, part of the journey. And then now the only other thing is the Fort Worth Development Group that I do on Wednesdays. There's Zoom meeting for that. For all these things I'm talking about, Mixer with a Mission, Fort Worth Development Group, the referral resource guide, it's all there on Facebook. I'm real easy to find. Brenda Ryan is kind of all over the place.
All over the
I
place.
guess if you Googled me, I'd be there too.
That's funny.
Doing something.
Yeah, because anytime I meet somebody, I'm like, and we'll be talking about something. You know Brenda Ryan, right? Like, I know her. I've known her for a long time. I use that to qualify myself to people. They're like, who are you? Well, I've known Brenda Ryan for like a decade. And they're like, okay, you're fine. Come in. That's like the password at a speakeasy in Fort Worth, I think, right now.
That's so funny.
What's the password? Brenda Ryan. Come in. Come in. If you want to go drink after hours at Buttons or something, I don't know. Well, thank you so much. I love sharing a little bit of what you're about. Guys, go check out the referral resource guide, definitely, and hook up with Brenda. She's amazing. So, and the Mixer with a Mission, I love it. It's one of my favorite events that happens multiple times a year. So, let's get in here with a little business tip. My business tip and my tool are going to seem a little self-serving because they're both podcast related, but they're not. I wholeheartedly believe that if you want to have a successful business, or you want to have a successful online brand, or you want to develop yourself, a great way to do that is to start a podcast. Share your knowledge for free. It's part of the jab, jab, jab of the jab, 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 right hook, whole operation, concept, whatever you want to call it. You give, and then when you need something, or you ask for something, the people who you've been giving to are invested in you and they care, and so they'll come and take what you have or give what you need. So go start a podcast. I use Spreaker. I've been podcasting longer than I've known Brenda Ryan, so a long time. And I use Spreaker because I love it. I love the software. I love the hosting. And if you go to Spreaker.com and you sign up for an account and you use my promo code WHISKEY, because it's good, if you use that promo code, you get a free month when you sign up, so you can try out the pro account and see how you like it. But it's spectacular. There's so many people do podcasts on Harry Potter. People do podcasts on travel. people do podcasts on stuff I would not mention to this audience. I mean, there's a podcast for everything. You used to have to tell people what it was, but now it's mainstream, and anybody can do it. It's easy. So you could do an entire podcast on your phone if you wanted to. You sign up for an account, you do it, and it's spectacular. So I urge everybody to do that. If you're a podcast listener and you're thinking about starting a podcast, hit me up if you have questions about starting a podcast. I'll answer every question you have. I have built podcast studios for 4 or 5 different people. I'm all about it. Let's do it. Let's bring up the rise back of the independent podcaster, because when all this stuff started, it was independent podcasters pushing the media and pushing the medium and pushing the new platform. But now everybody and their dog, every TV network and movie studio has their. But I think we should rise back up as independent podcasters and reclaim our platform and say, y'all go back to TV. This is us. So anyway, that's a soapbox. And a tool to try is also podcast related, but you could use it for anything: a radio show, a YouTube station, whatever. They're called pod decks. I use them. I got the whole library here. Pod decks. It's a unique interview question and episode prompt, right? So there are all these decks. There's the interview deck, the episode deck, the what the heck deck, the would you rather deck, and you use them to, either as an episode jump-off point or to make your interviews more interesting or to have a little fun. And starting next week, we're going to have a whole segment where I just grab a random one out of one of the decks and we answer the question, but we don't have enough time this week, so we're going to do that next week. And if you go to poddex.com, you can get 10% off with the promo code DJ Matt Blake. How's that for awesome? So I want people to do a podcast, and I want it to be awesome, because more normal people have way cooler things to say than Adam Carolla. I love Adam Carolla for pushing early podcasting, but he needs to get out of it and leave it to us. So people are laughing. There's a lot of big podcasters I don't like because they interrupted. Anyway, so use promo code DJ Matt at poddex.com and get a discount on those. So now, my favorite part of the show, after interviewing my guests so they can share their story, my second favorite part of the show is the motivational section here at the last little bit, where I got 4 more quotes for you guys because a couple of them are really short. We can discuss them, and then I'm going to wrap it all up and let you guys know how amazing it's going to be. And I urge you guys to come back to the podcast for the next 5 episodes, because I know Bobby and Casey haven't said a lot today because we've been focusing on our guests. However, I am going to get them heavily involved over the next few weeks so we can explore all aspects of emotional intelligence. And today's episode is just a primer for you guys. We're going to delve deep. We're going to improve you. This is a self-building, self-awareness series. And when we finish this, we're all going to be the next generation of amazing entrepreneurs and business owners, and you guys are going to crush it. I just know you are. So, when Dale Carnegie, who wrote so many books, great books, go read them. I could suggest every book Dale Carnegie's written. So go on Amazon, search Dale Carnegie, start with How to Win Friends and Influence People, and just go from there. Dealing with people, remember, you are not dealing with creatures of logic, but with creatures of emotion. That's hugely, hugely helpful, right? Because if you try to explain logic to your 9-year-old why you need him to eat his dinner, it's not going to work. You have to emotionally. And so what we do is say, Daniel, don't you want to be big and strong? Don't you want to be able to be a wrestler like your brother when you grow up? Don't you want to be able to beat up your big brother because he's, holding you down and stuff all the time? Well, you're not going to grow bigger unless you eat some food and get some protein and good stuff into you. Maybe I just need to have Bobby talk to him about about nutrition. But, you have to appeal emotionally to people, right? People do not buy things out of logic all the time. People buy out of emotion. That's why when you go to the grocery store, all the candy bars are right there sitting next to you saying, all you need is a Snickers and your life will turn around, which is true. I had a Snickers the other day and my life turned around. Okay. Dean Koontz wrote this. He said, some people think only intellect counts, knowing how to solve problems, knowing how to get by, knowing how to identify an advantage and seize it. But the functions of intellect are insufficient. Oh my gosh, I can't read. Insufficient without courage, love, friendship, compassion, and empathy. So you can be as intellectual and as smart as you want to be, but if you don't have the emotional support that goes with that, think about, this is a stupid reference, but think about the show Star Trek The Next Generation, right? Data, the android, was super dope. He was strong. He could solve all these problems, but he was absolute crap for solving a lot of problems because he had no emotional intelligence at all. He didn't understand courage, love, friendship, compassion, and empathy. Empathy is huge. Like, people who don't have empathy cannot relate to other people, and you can feel that, right? Have you ever dealt with somebody and you can tell they do not care at all about what you're saying when you're having a conversation with somebody and they're listening not to respond to you but waiting for their chance to jump in and hit you with what they have or their sales pitch? That's because they have no empathy. They don't understand. They don't have social skills. And it's huge. And Dean Koontz hits it on the head right there, even though I didn't read it right, because I got something going on with my eyes today where there's like this weird, you know how when you accidentally walk outside and you look at the sun, you get this blinky thing? It's been going on all day. So there's like a tunnel over here where I can't read. And I'm starting to lose my voice again. Every Monday, about 2:30, I start to lose my voice. It's like I talk for a while or something. Anyway. Okay, and finally, Napoleon Bonaparte. Not a great guy, but here's a quote. A leader is a dealer in hope. That's short and sweet and to the point, right? If you want to be a good leader, you have to inspire hope in people, right? You can't inspire hope in people if you don't understand them on an emotional level. Hope is not logical, right? You're not in a hopeless, like, pathetic situation and logically you're like, oh, no. Through logic, I see that this is going to work out. I hope this is going to be fine. No, you don't get that from logical thinking. That's an emotion, is hope. And I am very optimistic all the time. Probably, like, people who regularly talk to me, like Bobby and Casey, and particularly my wife, probably get sick with my optimism sometime. They're like, okay, Matt, okay, stop it. Like, Bobby and I are talking about possibly taking Inspired to Greatness to TV and having a TV show, and which we still need to have that discussion so I can go talk to the TV people. But that's a possibility, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to be the next Dr. Phil. This is happening. This is just going to happen. And that's not logical at all. That's hope. So anyway, before I wrap this all up, Bobby or Casey, do you guys have anything to add about emotional intelligence or any of these quotes or the ridiculousness that I've spouted thus far today?
You spouted quite a bit, actually.
Ridiculousness?
I'd love to get some words in there. Thank you.
Go ahead. Have your words.
First of all, I like the fact that you've started having me back on as you begin this series. Emotional intelligence is one of the single most important topics you can have whenever it comes to relationships. One of the favorite quotes that I have, or at least one of the favorite principles from my group that I work with, is relationships over revenue. The cultivation of these relationships are paramount to your financial success. Mm-hmm. And those come from having a high level of emotional intelligence. It's really funny to me because you have all sorts of people that will go on and they'll listen to podcast after podcast or show after show about how to sell to someone, how to market to someone, how to sneak their way around and do these things. And they don't realize that if you start to just build your own emotional intelligence, the self-awareness for not only yourself, but the interpersonal communication between you and, we'll go, for lack of a better term, we'll say a prospect or even a friend, if you do not build that understanding between the two of you, how you work, controlling your own emotions and how they work, looking for their emotional cues, all of that, then the thing will fall apart. Yeah. And you can do wonders. You can build yourself in a million different ways if you just build your emotional intelligence. So the fact that you're even doing this in the first place, or that we're even doing this in the first place, speaks loads to what the show's about in the first place.
Yeah. And while you're talking, last week the book I recommended was None of Your Business. And you know the people involved in this book, and if you get the book, you kind of can connect with the Black Diamond Club. So can you give a quick plug for what the Black Diamond Club is and what it's about and why you dig it?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Black Diamond Club and the authors of the book, actually, Dr. Sean Dill and Dr. Lacey Book. Sean and Lacey are two of my very close friends, and they're actually not only my close friends, but they're also my mentors and business coaches. And Sean and Lacey are actually the CEO of the specific chiropractic centers themselves. So they've had the Black Diamond Club since I've known them. This was probably around 2013 or so. And they took the knowledge that they had, because they have this vision of turning service providers into entrepreneurs, altering the mindset of service providers to show how they can really leverage their relationships and their knowledge to create the life of their dreams. So they generated this whole Black Diamond Club thing, which has now grown into I mean, eventually it's going to be multimedia, really. They have rather come out with this book, None of Your Business, which is a roadmap for service providers to become entrepreneurs, talking about mindset and then going into specific strategies and even further into tactics on how to grow this thing out. But even further than that, if you were to buy the book, it's $14.99 on Amazon, so it's a no-brainer of what you're going to do there. Once you get the book, you're going to go to the back of it, and there's actually 3 months free of the Black Diamond Club. It's a private Facebook group that people pay usually around $75 a month for, but they get access to not only all of the content, all of the podcasts involved there, but they're getting involved with people the likes of, if you ever heard of the name Dennis Yu, he owns a company called Blitz Metrics. They just had him in there doing a live interview. They've had Jay Abraham in there doing a live interview. They had the Wolf of Wall Street, Jordan Belfort, doing a live interview. So you get access to all this stuff just by spending $16 on a book. Like, not only do you get the good information from the book, but you get all of this extra along with it. And then from there, the next logical step puts you into our summer camp series, which is a yearly conference where we all get together. And we do have all of those people coming out in person. So now you're getting like meet and greets with some great, amazing. We're talking, whenever I say the name Abraham, he's the $1 billion man. The guy's net worth is $10 billion. And to be able to sit down and introduce yourself and listen to him speak for a couple hours, you can't compare to that.
Yeah.
So the entry level of that is a $16 book. So.
Yeah. And you'd be surprised, folks, about how listening to someone and feeling an energy in person is so much different than listening to them, reading their book, or watching their YouTube videos. Grant Cardone is an amazing dude for a lot of reasons. I don't feel like his emotional intelligence is up there. He's like your old school, aggressive, type A, go get him kind of guy. But I watch his stuff and I listen to him because he's intelligent. But I got to see him in person at a conference one time, and for the next 2 or 3 months, I was an unstoppable force. His energy just like permeated me, and through osmosis, I became a tiny Grant Cardone, and that sounded weird, but I was like killing it. I mean, it was like raised my game. So an opportunity like this, like I saw Colin Powell one time. I saw George Bush Jr. one time, younger George Bush, not Jr., but it's amazing what going and seeing them in person, feeling the whole crowd and just that kind of environment, it does more for you than just, listening to Gary Vaynerchuk on Spotify or watching Grant Cardone on YouTube, because it'll fire you up and you need that day, or listening to the Inspired to Greatness podcast every week with host Matt Blake. That'll fire you up too, but you have to, in person is amazing stuff. Thank you, Casey, because I wanted to mention the Black Diamond Club, but I wanted to wait until you were on here to do it because you introduced me to it, and I'm working my way through the book. When I finish the book, then I'm gonna join, so I have the principles in my brain before I join, because I want to.
And how about this, Matt? Anybody watching, the first 5 people that comment me in the comments, I'm buying the book for you.
Holy cow, guys!
So 5 people just comment me and drop it in the comments. I'll personally purchase the book for you, and I'll get you a copy of it.
Terry just leaned forward. I think she's typing me on there. So that's awesome. Okay, check this out. I'm going to wrap us all up here, and I hope you guys have enjoyed the podcast. It's great stuff. Okay, so emotional intelligence trumps IQ all of the time. You can learn skills, learn how to use tools, but it's vastly more difficult to learn how to not be a jerk. In decades past, it was the alpha male, type A personality, ultra-aggressive people that were successful. That's just how it was. But in today's society, and the way we are now, having empathy, caring about others and their well-being is what wins, particularly in the long term. It's not about who you can screw over, who you can defeat to get victory anymore. Self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, and social skills are the new winning qualities. I think you would all agree that finding success in your business and in your life, you need to be good at relationships, right? Relationships are key in just about everything. Everything's about building and maintaining good relationships. And if you lack emotional intelligence, it will be very difficult to maintain those relationships. We all know someone who is constantly having drama in their life, right? They're always at odds with a friend or a family member. They're always having conflict at work, having trouble with their boss. These folks have zero emotional intelligence. They can't handle relationships because they aren't aware of their own issues, cannot regulate their emotional responses, and they lack empathy and the social skills to relate to other people. That's why emotional intelligence is so vitally important. Okay? We cannot control what others say or do. That's never going to happen. But we can control what we believe and how we react to other people. Don't give away control of your mind and emotions to someone else. All of your power in any situation is in your response. You can't always control our circumstances, but we can control our responses to those circumstances. That's what emotional intelligence is all about. Recognizing and understanding how people react and controlling how you react in different situations. Do not let ego, and this is huge, we haven't even touched on today, do not let ego get in your way. People accuse me sometimes of having a huge ego, right? But they're confusing confidence and ego. Ego is a defense mechanism to hide insecurities. Let me say that louder for all of you in the back. Ego is a defense mechanism for hiding insecurity. It's about fear, uncertainty. Confidence is knowing that you're doing the right thing, even if you don't win. But I can tell you a little bit of secret. Doing the right thing always wins, even if you don't succeed. Okay? Become self-aware. Develop empathy toward others. Ditch your scared little ego and get humble about your success. It's going to take you further than you can imagine. And that is what I have for you today, folks. Bobby, how you feeling about that one? Was that a good show?
Very well said, brother.
Thanks. Okay, thanks for joining us on Inspired to Greatness today. Please check back with us each and every week for fresh tips and new guests. Visit our website at itgpodcast.com. Look for us on Spreaker. Follow us and rate and review us in iTunes. Follow us on iHeartRadio and in Spotify. Pretty much anywhere you listen to stuff, we are there. If you would like to be a guest on the podcast, please visit itgpodcast.com/beourguest. If you have a question or a topic suggestion, you can email the show at inspiredtogreatnesspodcast@gmail.com. You can find the show on Facebook at Inspired Podcast and on Instagram at Inspired to Greatness Podcast. And remember, everything is on our website at itgpodcast.com. Thank you so much to Brenda. Thank you so much to Terry. And, of course, to my co-hosts, Bobby and Dr. Casey Sanders, and to all of you listeners. Thanks again, my friends. Go do amazing things. Be awesome. Go inspire, motivate, and dominate. We'll see you next time. And to
Bye,
our Facebook audience, farewell.